All right, all right. Hey, everybody. I am super excited about this event. This is going to be epic, and this is my last event. So I got to end off big. It ain't just my event, it's the panelist event, too. It's y'all event, too. It's about to be crazy. And I'm super excited to have these wonderful panelists on here. But before we start, I will mention that this will be recorded and posted on the website. So if it's things to share, that you kind of missed your notes or whatever, you can go to the website, listen to it again, and just, see what you get. It's always good to listen to it twice because you might get something different. But with that being said, I'm gonna let the panelists introduce themselves. I just want you to say your name, your major, where you completed your internship at, and just tell me one exciting thing that happened on your internship to break the ice. Let's go. Who want to go first? It don't know order, but
I'll go first.
Cool.
So my name is Kennedy Pitts. I'm a senior. I graduated in spring 2022. And I did my internship with the Dallas Mavericks. And something interesting that happened there is I got to interview Jalen Brunson. He's a player for them. He's doing really good right now.
How tall is he? Because he looked kind of short on the basketball court. Is he?
Honestly, yes. I feel like he's maybe 6 foot. Like, really? To me, like I don't know, maybe 5'11". Like, I don't know.
Well, he been hooping though this season. Yeah, I've been hooping. So that's cool. Thank you.
I can go next. Hey everyone, my name is Robin Henry. I'm a senior. I did my internship with the DEC Network, which stands for Dallas Entrepreneur Center. And one exciting thing that happened. So I got to be a part of Dallas Startup Week, which is a 5-day event where entrepreneurs of every fashion get to come out, network, connect. And it was just super cool to just see so many entrepreneurs just in one sitting. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
Hello, my name is Estella. I am a public relations major, and I will be graduating soon. I'm excited. And I interned at Red 7 Marketing. One exciting thing about it, or what I've learned, is in school, I learned so much about public relations. It was interesting to see the marketing side of things. But yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Hi, I'm Michaela. I am a Converge Broadcast Media or CBCM major. I also graduate spring 2022. And I interned am interning at KNTU radio station 88.1. We're stationed at the UNT school, but we're like a separate entity. And one exciting thing I got to do was participate with the Jazz Fest that they do. And so we have a whole tent set up and we broadcast live for 3 days. And so that was really exciting to be a part of the live event and like functioning as we're a non-commercial radio station. And so we had to be really careful about what people were saying live so that we couldn't sell stuff while we were on air. So it was like cutting in and out to make sure. So it was fast paced, like upbeat, kind of cool to see how live radio works.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So thank y'all for sharing that and introducing yourselves. But I do have this first question. I know when I came into college, I just chose a major. I didn't know what the major stood for. I just jumped right in and I was like, okay, I want to be a math student. Then when I hit calculus, I was like, I got to do something different. This ain't what I want to do. I ain't trying to teach no math because I don't even know calculus. Then I switched it. But why did y'all choose y'all major? How did y'all decide on this is exactly what I want to do and I'm going to finish it out and graduate? Congratulations, graduate here soon. Why I want to do this major and why did I choose this major?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I came in as a bio major because I wanted to help people. I was like, I want to save the world, it's crazy stuff like that. So I got my first D. I have always gotten great grades. And so to get a D, I was distraught. I was like, my life is over. And so I was talking with a friend at the time and I was like, hey, I like to talk. I like to write. I like to do this. You know, what can I do? And so she told me about PR. And I was like, don't they like, aren't they on the news? Like, I don't want to be on the news. And she was like, no, like, check it out. And so I took my first course and I just fell in love with it. It was just amazing just to kind of see like, okay, there, you can kind of do something from a passion standpoint. You don't have to just do the generic, like the lawyer, the doctor, the this, the that, you know, there are other fields out there. And so I love it. And to see the years just fly by like that, and I'll be graduating next month. I was just like, wow. So that's my experience with it.
That's cool.
So I have a little bit of a different like path that I took. So I'm an old student. I was in the military prior to going to school. So I was in the Navy for 5 years, and I actually did mass communications in the Navy, which is like broadcast, so radio, TV, journalism, and like anything media. That's everything that I learned in the Navy. And then I ended up at a radio station, go figure. So I compare it to like Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam. That's kind of what I did. I just wasn't as crazy as Robin Williams. And so I really enjoyed the radio side of things. And when I got done with the military, I was like, you know, I think I could do like a communications degree. So I did my associates in communications. And then when I found UNT, I was like, oh, Converge Broadcast Media. That's like exactly what I'm looking for. And so that's how I ended up in that major.
That's so cool. Oh, happy veterans. Sorry, but happy veterans. Belated Veterans Day.
So I am a PR major, and I've wanted to be a PR major since I was like in 8th grade, truthfully. Like, I came to school for career day dressed as a publicist instead of like a doctor and a lawyer. So what happened is that Justin Bieber went to jail, and he was my favorite celebrity at that time. And I was so mad, and everyone was talking bad on him. And I just didn't want people to talk bad about him. So really, I was just trying to I learned about like what a publicist was through him, like saying like who like runs his team, like who's like getting his name out there so that he has a positive image, because I don't want people to talk bad about him. And so that's how I learned about PR. And then I was like, I want to do this for like other artists, you know. So
yeah, that's so cool.
Okay, so my story is a little all over the place. So I am a writer. I've been writing since I could hold a pencil. And so I was mixing my love for writing and my love for just like speaking out or just saying what I have to, not really holding back. And that's what PR is really about. You know, we have ethics, and I'm trying to get those people who are online just spreading lies and deception. I'm trying to get them out. So I think I'm kind of like Robin, trying to save the world.
Yeah. So it's two things that I want to point out. Is one that I'm hearing is you found your major or your calling or your career path off of your value system and your skill set. And then two, sometimes journeys kind of are not linear. You just kind of have to explore, see what happens. And some even like Kennedy's pitch, she already knew it. 8-year-old Justin Bieber, it just hit her. It's like, okay, why do I feel this way? How can I align with something that matches this feeling? So that's interesting points that I want to pull out of those insights that y'all shared, those experiences that y'all shared. But now that y'all in school, one thing that is required as far as journalism, I know for sure, is an internship. So that pressure, you got to find an internship to even graduate. So how was that process? What did y'all do? What was the resources? How did y'all find y'all internship?
I can start on this one. So the radio station, they have volunteer positions. So when I first started at UNT, I wanted to get back into radio because I had been out of it for like 4 years. So I found the radio station. I was like, hey, they have volunteer positions. So I volunteered to do a DJ position. And then during that time, just through like good work ethic and like showing up on time or early and doing a good job whenever you were here, they started saying like, hey, we do have some, we have 8 positions that are paid positions. So if you think that that's something you'd want to do, like check it out. The girl that was the original program director, she was getting ready to graduate. And so they're like, hey, the program director's opening up. We'd like you to apply for it. So I applied for it and then went through that way. So yeah.
Okay, so how I found my internship, I remember it was getting towards the end of like that specific class where we were supposed to find internships. And I had like 3 options on the table. 2 of them weren't paid, and then 1 of them was. And I kind of had to make the decision between getting one that isn't paid and working, or just getting one that was paid so I don't have to like work as well. So I just chose the one that was paid.
Like that.
I honestly, I found my internship basically through LinkedIn. Like, I think that's the most important. Like, I don't think I got a LinkedIn until last May, I think, or maybe March. One of our classes we had to have it, and so I found a lot of different job listings there. But the specific one for the Mavericks, my mom actually like sent me a link from LinkedIn, and I was like, okay, mom, like sure, like I'll just apply just for the fun of it because and then that's like I did end up getting it. But I think LinkedIn is like the biggest, like you have to have a LinkedIn at this point. Definitely worth it.
And just to kind of piggyback off of that, LinkedIn for sure is how I definitely found mine. They actually came to me. I didn't even go to them. I didn't even know they were having any openings. So me, I'm definitely a planner and I like to have structure and order, right? And so it was February and I was already freaking out. I was like, Professor Pointer, I don't have an internship. And she was like, Robin, you don't need to have one until April. But I was like, I know, I just need to know, like, I need to, have everything planned out. And so I had some things that I wanted to do. I applied, but like, it didn't work. So I was like, oh my God, I'm a loser. And then I just went on LinkedIn and I was like, hey, this is what, I'm skilled in. These are my skill sets and stuff like that. And so the program director at the time, I would say, she commented on it. She was like, hey, we have a position open. I think you would want it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we had an interview and it was just amazing. It was like I was talking to a friend. And then I had another meeting, which was so funny with my supervisor. I had a meeting with her in addition to the program director. So we all get on the call. I'm like, hey, like, I know you, because I had to interview her for a class assignment in the same class. So I was like, this is crazy. So needless to say, LinkedIn. It's your best friend.
And is your best friend. LinkedIn is your best friend. That is so cool. And guess how I contacted y'all? On LinkedIn, except Michaela, because I met her in person. But to kind of pull something that y'all said, that something that a lot of y'all said, was that it was a person that maybe recommended or maybe referred or that you got in contact with. So it's so crucial to put it, actually, like Michaela said, to have good work ethic and quality first, and then being able to treat people right. be able to communicate, be able to make those connections with the right people so they can direct you or give you the resources that you need in order for you to transition. Well, so, but just to kind of pull back the layers, because I know it just didn't happen with good feelings and good emotions and, oh, this is just gonna be flowery and everything is all good. Talk about that space of just maybe that rejection that you had or just frustration, what you had to do to get your documents right. Like, talk about that area of emotion.
So I can start with that one.
Mhm.
So like during my internship, I feel like there was like a lot of different emotions, especially like in the beginning. There was a lot of confusion. Like I feel like I was just like jumping into a new job and I really didn't know like what exactly I was going to be doing. Like of course everyone's like, you're gonna learn like as the time goes on, but it was just like I need to know like exactly what I'm doing. Like I like to know, but it's like you really don't because it's just like another learning experience. And so I know like for sure always ask questions because there's times like they told me to do like this Excel document and I was like, I don't know how to put this in. Like, I don't know, like, how do you like, they're like, make a da 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 and put it there. I'm like, how do I do that? And they were like, like they want you to ask questions because they want you to like do it right. So that when like the next time that you do it, like you gotta just like that. And like they're always helpful. And another thing, there was times where I like wasn't even doing anything. And like I honestly was like, I want to do more work. And they like to see that. Like honestly, go ahead, like put yourself out there and you're only, especially like internships, they do have like a deadline because it is an internship unless they offer you a position. So like make sure you do the most that you can during that internship because that you hopefully like some people they do want to drop there afterwards. So they want to see you.
That's good advice. So Kennedy kind of talked about some steps of just on the internship, just being taking advantage, asking questions and helping. And because they're willing to help. That's an internship. That's a process of learning. But I'm just curious to kind of go before that, before the internship, just the rejection, the frustration, the unknown. Like, what is that, and how did y'all overcome that?
I can say I'm still kind of like dealing with that because I have the internship, but we're having issues with whether or not this is going to count toward my actual what I need for school because it's still technically part of UNT. There's like a battle right now going on of like, can this count toward my internship for my degree, or do I still have to go through that process again to find the job and deal with that rejection? But I think a big thing to remember is that when you don't get a call back or when you're not like seen for an interview, not to take it like super personally because they're literally just looking at you on a piece of paper. And that doesn't define your worth when somebody says like we don't want you for this position. I'm big on like if it doesn't work out for you, something better's coming your way. So I think that if something doesn't work out, keep pushing and don't let the rejection or the slow responses deter you from continuing to apply and putting yourself out there and like meeting people and talking to people and continuing to network.
Okay, so the reason why I kind of like picked an internship last minute is because I applied for 2 internships. These were like my top 2. And that was for Target's internship program. I've been wanting to work with Target since I've started PR. And then it was the Emma Bowen Foundation's internship. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get one of these, going in confident, as you should. And I got a rejection letter from both of them like a couple days apart. And I was like, ooh, now what do I do? My best advice for that type of situation, well, something I would have changed is I would have applied for more. One of our professors, she told us that we need to be applying for at least 10 a week. It was, yeah. And I just relied on those couple and it backfired. But yeah.
love that.
And just to kind of seal it up, I would just say, man, like the rejection is real. Like it's real. It really does something to you because it's like, okay, PR in itself is already hard. It's hard. Like it's a lot. It's very tedious. So you have to pay attention. And then, you know, when you're going out and to apply and things like that. And so when they're not feeling you, you're like, oh, wait a minute, like, am I not paying attention? Like, what happened? But no, you know, I definitely agree with Michaela. Like, don't take it personal. Even if, you know, you gotta take your time with it, but I know it hurts, you know, at first. And I would say when I did apply with one internship, I don't even remember what it was for, but interned with this or applied for this one place, and they asked me to like do some work for them, and they were like, but it's not free work. Technically it was. And then I get a letter back and they're like, oh no, like, sorry, we're gonna go with someone else. I was like, y'all, I literally sat up here and just did all this work for, I was so upset. I was so upset. But, you know, after that, I got my internship. So I was like, whatever, I don't even care. But I would definitely say rejection is a real thing. Like Michaela said, you know, if one door closes, another one definitely opens, another and bigger and better one opens. Clearly, you know, that just wasn't the space for you to grow at the time. And, you know, things do come around full circle. So if that's something you want to pick back up again, definitely go for it or go for the better. But just take it one step at a time. You're not a failure. Don't take it personal, for sure.
Thank you guys for just being vulnerable, because sometimes in these discussions that they give you the good advice, but they don't tell you how you really feel or the things that you go through, the rejections that happen. And I'll just go back to Kennedy's advice that she gave about asking questions. Like that's how you would get out of it if you ask questions. If you're curious about something, ask questions. Now to kind of piggyback to move to my next question about asking questions, which is an interview. I know y'all had to go through an interview. How did y'all prepare? Tell me what that experience was like, because I feel pressure when I go through the interview process. I'll be sweating. They'll be like, this man, should we even give it to him? He already nervous. So what was y'all process like? And how did y'all prepare? And what are some tips y'all can offer?
Honestly, interviews are a big deal. Like they literally are make or break. So you have to prepare for them. Like I don't even like whatever anyone says, no, you have to prepare for them because you can't just go in there thinking you're just gonna be a hot shot, you're just gonna get it. No, do research on the company. Ask like already have like at least like 2 to 3 questions that you're going to ask other people or the people that are interviewing you, and make sure you have a list of like your qualities that you like that are perfect for the workplace, especially like cater them toward like the job that you're like applying for. So like if it's like a creative job, make sure you put those specific qualities of yourself into your interview. And then as well, just you have to put on like you have to just be aware, and just some questions are going to get thrown at you that you may not even know the answer to, and like that's okay. Trust me, like they know that you're a human being, but it's just like at the end of the day, just be yourself. That's another big thing. And then I think always ask about company culture. I feel like the answer to that is like a really big deal. And then like another question that I think that you should ask and incorporate is what's something that you know now that you wish you would have known when you first started? It really like it honestly throws them off because you're like, let me think about that. Like they love that question. So definitely write that down.
Are you a career coach on the side? I'm wondering, because you said some of those bullet points we normally, you're a career coach.
Yeah, to add to Kennedy, that's exactly, I mean, I feel like she hit all of it. I don't even know if any of us need to comment, but a big thing with interviewing is that, and it's, I mean, it does take practice, but you want to kind of turn it around to make it an interview for them so that you're the one interviewing that company and whether or not you want them to be like a part of what you want to do. So kind of have them sell the company to you as much as you're selling yourself to them.
My interview day was actually very chaotic. Um, so I scheduled an interview, and you're supposed to get, well, that specific company, you were supposed to get a confirmation code. And I never got my confirmation code, but I was like, I'm going to go anyways. Like, I'm going to get dressed, get my resume printed out, put it in a folder, and I'm going to go. So I went all the way to the office, which is about 45 minutes from Denton. And I walked in and they're like, why are you here? And I was like, I have an interview. We set a time and I'm here on time to my interview. And apparently their office assistant looked over my name, and it was just a big misunderstanding. But one thing he said was, if you didn't come and you just missed it, we probably would have looked over you. So.
My interviewing process, like I said, it was really fun. I think I was so caught up on just trying to be so serious that I just forgot my personality at the door. I was like, no, these are human beings as well. And they definitely want to see that. And they are watching that as well. So I'm not saying, to get all crazy on the phone with them, like that's your best friend. It's not your best friend, but definitely show that personality, because aside from your skills and aside from you just being this intelligent person, they definitely want to know that you, like, when they cut you, you bleed blood. Like they want to know that you can crack a joke, or you can smile, or you can, showcase your personality. So that's really what I really have to offer to that, because everybody kind of said amazing things. So.
Love that. I love that. Wow, that is good advice. Thank you. Are all y'all career coaches? I mean, we could start a business. You said you were part of that entrepreneur. Let's hook up. Let's make this thing happen. PR. We can put the message out. Look here. Let me scale back. I'm just getting excited. But all right, now that we got past the interview, y'all in the internship, what tips, what advice do you give for a person that have received this opportunity to stand out, to take advantage, to advance in their internship?
I'll start. I would say definitely take initiative. Ask questions. If you're invited to the meetings, go to the meetings, sit there, take notes, and then say, hey, you said this. I would like to know more about that. I think at my internship, that was one thing that they really liked about me, because I came in as like this quiet little mouse, and then I left and I was just like this chatterbox, because I was just like, what is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? What does that mean? And so I got invited to the meetings, and I was asking like, hey, what does that mean? And, they actually, what I really appreciated was they recognized me as an intern, because sometimes interns, they kind of just get looked at like, oh, she's just an intern. But no, they, like my CEO, he was really respectful. He memorized all of our names. And so take that initiative, ask those questions. If there's like a project going on, or, someone who's like in a program or something like that, ask them questions, say, hey, and if it's okay with your supervisor, of course, say, hey, do you mind if I just kind of listen in on this meeting or anything like that? I feel like that kind of exposes you to other opportunities or other passions that you did not think you had. So you don't know what you don't know. So just ask those questions.
I feel like my internship experience was on the other end of the spectrum. I did not have a pleasant internship experience, but I did gain a lot. Like, you learn from your mistakes. One thing I would say is definitely start early and give yourself enough time to find an internship that you actually like. One thing my mom likes to tell me is that you're not going to do good work if you don't like what you're doing. So that's one thing. Start early, prepare. And not every internship is for you. Just because it's an internship and they're contacting you, they're saying that they're interested and just showing that they want you to be a part of their company. But, you know, this is our life and this could potentially be our career. So definitely find one that you like. That is my best advice that I can give you guys.
Can I ask you a follow-up question with that? How do you take advantage of an internship that you do not like, that you have to obviously, go through and complete? So what was some, because you said you gained a lot. So what were some things that you gained and how did you take advantage of that bad experience that you had at the internship?
I would say it definitely gave me some strong will. It showed me that just because I don't like something doesn't mean I can't do it. I'm already confident, so it kind of boosted my confidence even more. I would say one thing is the description of the internship was extremely deceiving, and then I got there and it was something different. Usually if I don't like something, I quit it. But this was one thing. I don't know if it was God trying to humble me, but I'm glad I stuck through. I did learn a lot of marketing tips, but I realized that marketing isn't for me. But yeah, you just you learn a lot of things, but
Yeah.
it wasn't in my field.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I love the fact that you said, you realize that this wasn't my field. And sometimes you have to experience certain things to realize, like, hey, something needs to change, or I need to alter, or I need to step another way. But it brings me back to Kennedy's point that in the interview, how you ask questions and determine, the culture, how they're answering certain questions, how like that can give you a window of what to expect once you get in there. So that's why it's so crucial to interview them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna swing back.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna swing back to what Robin said. I went in there and forgot who I was. Left my personality right at that doorstep. Yeah, and that's very dangerous.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that. How about everybody else?
Yeah, for actually working at the radio station, always ask questions. That's great advice. I know Robin said that. I know Kennedy said it. I'm pretty sure Estella said it too. Always ask questions if you don't know something, because you don't know what you don't know. And I also think that, like, pushing yourself a little bit, like if something does feel out of your comfort zone, definitely push yourself through those things. Because like when you're in like something that's like a leadership position or something like that, which I've done here a little bit, I've had to train people on how to use the radio system and things like that. And finding that balance of like being a student and like on the same level, but then also like understanding that you do have that leadership over people, and finding the good balance between like the respectful and like equal communication with people. That's really difficult, but it takes practice, and just like remembering to ask people like, hey, is there anything I can do better? Like, are there things that you're noticing that like I need to expand on or understand, like, or how is my tone of voice, things like that you don't necessarily think about, but it might be affecting other people in a different way.
I think one of the biggest things that I took advantage of is like networking. Yeah, everyone nodding their head at that. Yeah, definitely network, because I think whenever we'd have certain meetings or we'd like meet new people, they would tell the interns like, oh, make sure to get their LinkedIn, make sure to connect with them. And like they are more than willing to always give their LinkedIn, because I feel like everyone's always wants new connections anyway. So yeah, just make sure to always like talk to people, even if it's not just LinkedIn, just like ask people like about their jobs, or like if you're in, you can, I learned this in my internship, you can always like ask other people in different fields like what they're doing, and you can always be like, you can like ask for tips on like how to do your job, how to like, maybe you want to work with them as well, they are more than willing to do that as well. So I think for sure, just network and talk to everyone and just learn even more about your company and everything.
I love all the advice that y'all shared. I do want to ask y'all an interview question, though. Are y'all ready for this? I'm about to put y'all on the spot. Tell me about a time, y'all know that's a behavioral question. Tell me about a time in your internship where you developed a new skill, and what was that situation, or a new experience, and what was that situation, and what was the outcome? Ooh, interview, let's go.
Okay,
All right.
I can go.
All right.
Okay, so I told you guys how my internship was like a marketing internship. It was face-to-face sales, right? And there was one theory that we were taught, it's called the gumball theory. And it basically teaches you to, okay, we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it. Okay, so I have 2 gumball machines, right? And you have 10 quarters. Each gumball machine has all white gumballs and 20 red ones. So each one has 20 red ones, right? Now, my boss, my supervisor, basically let me choose what quarter I wanted to put in what machine without telling me any context behind it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to split up my chances. Okay. So I put 5 in one, 5 in the other. I failed the assignment.
Okay.
It basically, so the right answer was to put all 10 of your quarters in one machine, because as quarters are coming out, your chances are getting higher. Basically, it was to teach us that if you have a formula that's working and it's showing progress, it's like the writings that we do. I can write a news release in my sleep because our professor literally tells us to take the template from that last news release that we wrote and do your new one. And I think a lot of our PR writing is writing that's been successful, so they use the same formula. And but yeah, that was really interesting to learn, because I learned that if something's working for me, I can continue it.
Okay, something that I learned was probably, I promise you guys, I did not want to go into reporting or anything. I did not like it. I never wanted to be behind the screen and like ask, but I had the opportunity to like shadow someone that did reporting, and I was just like listening to her like abruptly like ask questions like immediately, like it like with the mic like in this guy's face, and I'm just like in awe, because I'm like, I could never do that. But then I was like, but I want to do that. And so I like did, like, I had the opportunity to like do that. And I really enjoyed that process and everything I was doing. And now I'm like, oh, I kind of like reporting, that, and like, that was just a different skills. I've never done that ever in any of my classes. So I really enjoyed it.
I think one of the hardest things I've learned, like just in life and working with people, is that no one cares about you as much as you do. So you're going to be your own best advocate. So because your internship will most likely coincide with classes and things like that, you have to make sure that you know where your priorities are, so that if your internship, I mean, there are going to be times when you're just busy and you're not going to have like personal time or whatever, but finding that balance of telling your boss what's going on in your life so that you can have that personal time, because we do all need it at some point, and just making sure that you are advocating for your needs while also doing your best work that you can, because you can't be a good worker if you are not taking care of yourself outside of work.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. But to sum it up though, because like I said, I was a marketing and communications intern, but with me asking everyone all these questions though, I fell in love with capital and funding, and creating just generational wealth, just that idea of that, especially for our Black and Brown community members. And so I was like, man, that's really dope. And my CEO at the time, he said a quote, and I will live by this. I will hold it in my heart forever. So he said, talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. And that literally rocked my whole world. I thought about I just thought about the talent that I grew up with. I thought about the young men that I went to school with. I went to an inner city school. And so, it's not the best, but it's okay. I'm here. I made it to college. But so I went to these schools, and I went to school with these kids. And it made me think about these boys, how they were so talented and how they were so gifted and how, they were artistic, but opportunity wasn't there. They didn't have that knowledge. It wasn't there. And so I had the righteous anger, because I was like, oh my gosh, like people need to know this. And so I think now that's kind of fuels the fire that was already kind of burning for entrepreneurship. But then I think also too, just really kind of creating that opportunity for education about just wealth, especially in our community, like in my community. And so yeah, I'm gonna stop it there, but it was really great.
I love that. I love that quote. I wrote it down. Talent is everywhere. Opportunity is not. Wow. So whenever you get that opportunity, you have to take some of the advice that y'all said. Ask questions. The marble. Would you say it with the quarters and stuff? If you got the formula right, make sure you stick to what's working. I mean, just exposing yourself to different opportunities as far as reporting. Like, so when the opportunity do come, you take full advantage of it. But be aware of that talent is everywhere and opportunity is not. So there's two coins to that thing. So just to kind of wrap it up, because we are getting close to the hour, and I don't know, Alyssa, if you do have any questions, feel free to mute your mic or put it in the chat so we can just talk about it. But I do want to end off on, was there any resources, like as far as job boards? I know, Kennedy, you said you use LinkedIn to search for your job, but any like resources that y'all have on the top of your mind that y'all would like to share?
Handshake, definitely.
Handshake.
Yeah.
I would say Indeed. That is kind of been my bestie right now, because like I said, your girl's graduating next month. So Indeed has been really, really helpful. And also utilizing your network as well, like talk to them.
With utilizing your network, ask professors. Make an appointment with career counseling, because they will help you write up your resume and make yourself sound like as good as you can. You can practice for interviews, things like that. Definitely reach out to professors as well as like the rest of your network. But remember that professors are a part of that.
All right. So the last question that I have before we end this off, I had so much fun. Oh my God, this was amazing. I have this like platform called We Are More Than Just Careers, and we sometimes bring in, the idea of it is to move past like resumes, cover letters, and really sell the personality and the things that we're interested in, the artistic ability. So I've been interviewing a lot of my staff, but I'm thinking about pulling y'all in and just making that thing happen. So, man, because I really enjoyed this conversation. I love this energy. I love just the authenticity. I love the vulnerability, the wisdom, the knowledge. Talent is everywhere. Opportunity is not. Oh my God. All right. So my final question is, what is next for you guys? After graduation, like, have y'all thought about it? I know, maybe some don't know, but what do you hope for? What are you shooting for? What are you looking for? What's next?
So currently I work in the University Brand Strategy and Communications Office at UNT. I'm just an office assistant, but I have two paths that I'm looking at right now. My first one is staying with the job that I'm currently at and working my way up when there is a position open. I'm also applying to be a part of the master's program and get my teaching certificate as well. I love kids. I had a teacher in high school. She was my creative writing teacher. It was an elective that kids honestly just went to because they needed an elective. But it was my favorite class. And I want to be like my teacher. I still talk to her now. She's like the best lady. She's honestly my mentor. And that's how I want to be for high school students. I want to share my passion for creative writing. And also, like, this is my way of trying to change the world because that's our next generation. They're coming up. I went to a school where a lot of kids weren't privileged, and you always have that angel, that one angel teacher, and that's what my goal is.
I love that.
So I still have no idea what I'm gonna do after college. I right now I'm also working at my church, and I work with the youth there. So I never thought, I do not love children the same way that Estella expressed, but I have learned that older kids, so like junior high to high schools who I work with, that they really just need someone that will say hello to them and like say their name. And I can do that. So and I'm working with like social media and stuff at for the youth. So it's kind of a nice way to start learning how to do that. And they're a little bit more forgiving than other social media aspects. So it's very likely that will end up being a job for a while longer. Because I'm also ready to like get out and go explore the rest of America, because I've only been to a few states, and I'm ready to see the rest of our country and hopefully the world eventually.
So cool.
I'll go ahead and go. So my plan after school, honestly, is to really kind of hone in just on that entrepreneurship aspect that I was, speaking about earlier. I think my main thing is to really create some dangerous women. And what I mean by dangerous women is a woman, or a group of women rather, who know who they are, who have a voice, who have power, and who have personality. I just have a passion for women. I have a passion for women, just knowing who they are and getting back to triumph. And yeah, so also this Sunday, little shameless plug, this Sunday, my second book, Sign a Girl Trying to Heal, that I self-published, is coming out. So I'm super excited about that. this book really kind of highlights, you know, how to live in triumph and those practical steps and those things like that. So I'm excited. As far as, you know, the traditional career path, I definitely love to go into something with like marketing or communications, something in that avenue, just because it's easy. I've been kind of doing it for myself. So, and also my church, I'm their administrative assistant. So I love little fun stuff like that. But yes, those are my plans.
And my plans, right, or for after college is, well, right now I'm working with Sony Music, and so I'm hoping to work. Yeah, I'm hoping to work with them after I graduate, because right now it's like a college marketing job. So I hope to work there. 'Cause I do, my passion, like I said, was music. Like I want to be in the music industry and helping. Like I just did like a campaign for like a newer artist. Like that's literally what I want to do. Like I want to help build new artists and get their name out there. So I hope to do that literally after college, like immediately. So
Man, that is so cool. Man, it is an honor to be with you guys. Thank you for your time. Alyssa, if you don't have anything, I'm going to just close this out with this quote that I just got today. Talent is everywhere and opportunity is not. But when you get that opportunity, you take full advantage of it.